On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping, stop and show us your flag. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. We have a false flag event. Now, you may know about false flag events. This is when a ship flies a flag of a nation it doesn't belong to. This usually happens during war or moments of piracy or privateering or Q ships, all those great stories from days of old. However, this is a modern interpretation. This vessel, Kiwala, was sailing from India up to Russia. It was hoisting the flag of Djibouti. The ship had been registered in Djibouti. However, Djibouti says it's no longer registered there. This got the attention of the Estonian police and border guard, who have since seized the vessel. We're going to look at this story and break it down. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be alerted about new videos as they come out. Here's the story over in G-Captain from Reuters. Estonian Navy detains the Russia-bound oil tanker in the Baltic Sea. Kiwala has been under EU sanctions since February as part of the so-called shadowfleet. This is the term that's used to discuss the vessels used by Russia to sail vessels with oil and diesel fuel to circumvent international laws. The Estonian Transport Authority said that they have contacted Djibouti. However, Djibouti has denied the ship is registered there. The Russian's foreign ministry has not responded to comments. Let's head over to marine traffic. This shows you the ship's route from India up through the Arabian Sea, through the Bab el Mandeb, cheers to everybody, up into the Suez, Med, out through the Straits of Gibraltar, Eastern Atlantic, through the English Channel, through the Danish Straits, and up here to the area between Estonia and Finland. And this takes us to midnight on 11 April UTC time. Time difference here for Estonia is +3 GMT. So according to Estonian authorities, they seized the vessel right here. You'll notice the appearance of ENS Tindril Kurvits. This is that police and border security vessel that is on location as Kiwala is sailing into the area. This purple line right here, this is Estonian territorial waters. Operation begins right here. You'll see Kiwala diverts from its scheduled course. According to the reports, Estonian authorities began preparing for the operation on Thursday evening, and it got underway from 3 a.m. Friday, still before the Kiwala entered Estonia's exclusive economic zone. Helicopter capabilities were used during the operation. Continuing on here, the vessel entered Estonian territorial waters at 4:19. You'll see it did cross right there at 4:19 into the waters of Estonia. We also see the arrival of warship M6731. This is a mine hunting vessel that is assisting. According to comments in the paper, quote, the ship had no flag state, a stateless vessel. Ships like this are actually not allowed to operate. Estonia exercised its right to detain the vessel for inspection. The Transport Administration is inspecting the ship's technical condition, insurance, and the documents of the crew members throughout the course of the inspection. There are 24 people aboard. The ship's captain is reportedly a Chinese national, has been cooperative during the investigation so far. The remaining crew members of the ship are reportedly citizens of Myanmar. The ship will be detained until the technical deficiencies are eliminated. And here you see the vessel at anchor now off the coast of Estonia with vessels on location to monitor it. This is the Estonian border guard vessel that initiated the encounter with Kiwala and had the vessel divert into the territorial waters of Estonia. Here is Kiwala off the coast of Estonia at anchor with the Estonian Navy minesweeping vessel close by, providing overwatch on the ship. The ship is empty, as you can see here. It had just offloaded a cargo of oil in India. The ship is flying a flag from the nation of Djibouti. You can see it there on the stern post. You'll see the name Kiwala. You will see it's registered. It says Djibouti down there. And it has the International Maritime Organization number, the IMO number, that identifies the vessel. The IMO numbers never change on a vessel. It is something that stays with a vessel. You can change registry. You can change basically the name of the vessel, and that happens quite frequently. However, the IMO number is permanent. And when running the IMO number, this is where the problem came up. So before we jump into further analysis here, I just want to give you some background on this event because there's been a lot going on, obviously, in the Baltic. It has been an area of a lot of attention. We just had this story on April 15th as a Reuters story. Swedish probe finds no conclusive evidence of deliberate cable cut by Chinese ship. This involves the bulk carrier, the Yiping 3. This is a ship that had come through and had severed a cable between Finland and Germany and another one between Sweden and Lithuania on November 17th and 18th of last year. The ship anchored in international waters off of Denmark. It was waiting to be cleared, and now the Swedish authorities are saying there's been no conclusive evidence of a deliberate cut. Meanwhile, on March 21st, Germany has confiscated a tanker belonging to the Russian shadowfleet. Now, this is the vessel, the Eventin, which has been secured by the German authorities after being found off the Baltic island of Rügen. The ship was adrift. The ship had lost power, actually has been there for weeks. The Germans, using their bureaucratic ability here, not only had the ship towed into Germany, but they have confiscated the oil, 100,000 metric tons, or $43.33 million, or 40 million euros of oil that is now German property. The Eventin had been included in a package, the 16th package of sanctions against Russia, but what got it in trouble was the fact the ship lost power and has not been able to sail for over a month. This had led the Germans to seize the vessel as a hazard to navigation and bring it in. Then we have this story, February 13th. Estonia's Navy is stepping up Baltic sea patrols. All the Baltic states, the entire renewed Hanseatic League, is in full force here. Remember, every nation in the Baltic now is a NATO nation except for Russia. I don't like using the term NATO lake. It's not a lake. This is a sea. It's international commerce. However, one of the things we're seeing is the individual states are taking a much more active role. And in this case, Estonia has done that. And then when you look at the timeline of events, we've seen an increasing escalation. This goes back to the beginning with Nord Stream, and it has continued. If you look at this timeline, in February of 2025, we have the Finland-German telecom cables that are severed. This is the Sea Lion 1 cable that was cut. In January, we see the Sweden-Latvia telecom cable that was cut. That was done by the Vizen. In December of 2024, we had power and internet cables between Finland and Estonia. That was the Eagle S. That ship was seized by Finland and held for a protracted period of time, but that ship has since been released. In November, we had an issue with the Baltic telecoms. This was Yiping 3, the story we just talked about. October of 2023, we had Baltic connector gas pipe and cables. This was New Polar Bear. This was a Chinese container ship that came in, dragged its anchors on October 8th between Estonia and Finland. Then, of course, we go back to the original that kind of starts this all, is Nord Stream in September of 2022. Now, who does Nord Stream? I have no friggin' clue. I know all the stories. I know them all. You can all put them in the comments. I got it from the Seymour Hersh to the Ukrainians, to the Russians, to the Germans, to friggin' who knows, aliens do it. No one has yet come up with conclusive proof who does it. But what I can say is that the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage has kind of kicked this all off. Sweden's investigation found traces of explosive material on the pipeline. Sweden and Denmark has closed out their investigations. Everyone's pointing fingers at everyone. But what we're seeing is an escalation in gray zone operations in and around this area. And I think that's significant because we're seeing it expand around the world. All right, let's take a look at Kiwala in particular. So here is Marine Traffic's data on Kiwala. Crude oil tanker built in 2007, so 18 years ago, carrying capacity of about 115,000 tons. These are not exceptionally large tankers. They can't be to go in and out of the Baltic. So you get these mid-sized tankers that run through this area. We're not talking about very large crude carriers here or ultra-large crude carriers. This ship falls in the category of what's called an Aframax. So it's a medium range, medium size, between medium range and long range tanker. The ship is 244 meters in length, 42 meters wide. You'll note here that the ship is showing flagged in Djibouti. We come over here to Equasis. Now, Equasis is a database that allows you to search vessels. It's an electronic quality shipping information system. When you pull up Kiwala through its IMO number, you'll see number one, it's not showing a call sign. The call sign is unknown. That is usually assigned from the country of registry. It's showing a false flag here from Djibouti. If you go back here through its current and former flags, it began in 2007, Hong Kong flagged, then to Liberia, then the Marshall Islands, then to St. Kitts and Nevis, and then probably the most warm and fuzzy one here, not known, over to Mongolia, Gabon, Djibouti, and then Djibouti Falls. This is an advertisement for problems here. The International Maritime Organization needs to set up a database whereby all ships are listed by their IMO number, and you have to show through your registry what flag you have, where you're registered, and your insurance, what marine insurance you have. Why we don't do that, I don't know. Oh, I know why we don't do it, because the IMO doesn't want to do it, because it's the IMO states that don't want this. Those names I just listed there don't want it, and they're all voting members of the IMO. But you would think you cannot sail a vessel on the high seas and be able to do that. And you can't. And the reason is because of something called UNCLOS. So Article 19 of UNCLOS says, now this is the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, passed in 1982, and nearly every nation on the planet has ratified this. I mean, what nation has not ratified this? North Korea. North Korea has not ratified this. Kazakhstan has not ratified this. But every other country, what's that? Really? The United States has not ratified it. Yes, the United States is the only major nation on the planet that has not ratified this. Even though we pushed UNCLOS, we helped write UNCLOS, we have not ratified. Now we say we honor UNCLOS, and we do. We basically follow it. We just can't get the U.S. Senate and 67 senators to agree to ratify UNCLOS. Yet what we're seeing is many nations are ignoring UNCLOS. All right. Article 19 talks about the right of innocent passage. You have to allow vessels to sail through your waters on innocent passage. This is why the Houthi are illegally hitting vessels in the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb, and Gulf of Aden region. They're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to basically do this because you're denying the right of innocent passage. Now, you're sitting there going, well, wait a minute, Estonia can't stop a vessel sailing through its waters. And if you read through that, it gives you the provisions that has it. However, Article 92 does say your status of ship, you have to be registered. You have to be registered under a specific state. And in the case of Kiwala, she was not registered. She showed no registry whatsoever, meaning she was a flagless or stateless vessel, in which case you do not have to allow the right of innocent passage. And under laws, you can ask that vessel to defer, to show its documentation, which it's doing, and it is showing as undocumented. Now, the ship is going to have to rectify this to get back underway, and that's what's going on right now. So this is all part of a renewed effort by the Baltic states. We're talking about Sweden, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, Germany, Denmark, and then other nations who have an interest in the area, Norway, the United Kingdom, navies. And it's not really the navies as much as the coast guards that are really involved. What we're seeing here is because of the volume of ships that go through the Baltic. I mean, the Baltic is a heavily trafficked area. You're talking about 15% of global container traffic is moving through this area. At any one day, you have about 2,000 vessels in and on the Baltic, and on a monthly, maybe around 3,000 to 3,500 vessels. So a lot of traffic to have to inspect. Now, you can't board and search every vessel going through. However, through a coordinated effort, the Baltic states can run every vessel's IMO numbers, their certifications, and see whether or not they are meeting the standards. And in the case here of Kiwala, it dinged, and the Estonians decided to stop the vessel. Now, this is obviously going to cause some problems. Estonia shares a border with Russia, very close to the area. You're talking about stopping ships just a few miles from entering Russian waters. You can joke around with the Russian Navy all day long, and I know people that do it. I mean, I can make fun of Kuznetsov, their carrier. We can make fun of Moskva being sunk in the Black Sea. However, the Russian Navy does have some capabilities, not the least of which is missile and aircraft too. And so this could turn into a very kind of confrontational area in this region. And one of the things we need to be aware of, these states are very concerned about their environment. They're worried about the damage to undersea cables, both electrical conduit cables, telecommunication cables, oil and gas cables, and obviously any infringement. For Russia, this is vital. They are concerned that their access to the sea could be blocked by the countries in and around the Baltic. And even if you get out of the Baltic, you then have to get out of the North Sea. That means you got to go past France, England, Norway to get out into open waters. In many ways, Russia has the same situation China has, in that it doesn't have really free access to the world's oceans. It has to go through choke points surrounded by nations not friendly to them. And this could cause a potential confrontation. We've been talking about this in the Baltic, in the Black Sea, in the Red Sea, in the South China Sea. Again, we're seeing more confrontation when it comes to freedom of the seas than at any time in recent history. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share it across social media, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? You can hit the super thanks button down below, or head on over to Patreon and become a monthly or yearly subscriber. Until the next video, Sal, sign off.